Right guys, welcome back to another episode of the Twiddle Podcast. This one is a huge one. We have travelled to Kent and back just to get you this one, and we're actually on the way back now. Charlie's editing it so that you can see it all this weekend, and you'll notice on the table there is a beautiful gun. This year Perazzi made 25 special edition Perazzis, the George Digweed specials, to pay homage really to his career. It is an MX2000S. We have number 25 of 25. It's a 32 inch, of which there's only 22 of those. You'll see it's a headed blank SC2 wood, upgraded wood, and it's going to be custom fit to the winner. So it's live on twiddle.com right now, £20 a ticket. Grab one, enjoy the episode, and like and subscribe while you're here. 100% uncompromised quality you can trust in every situation. Seiko, the proud rifle sponsors of the Tweedle Pod, and the ultimate choice of champions since 1526, Beretta, the proud shotgun sponsors of the Tweedle Pod. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Tweedle Podcast. It's fair to say that after 60 plus episodes of the Tweedle Pod, I am very excited to announce that this week's guest is none other than George Digweed MBE. Welcome, George. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. George, you have been dubbed as, the greatest sportsman and the greatest person to ever hold a shotgun. I think that's pretty fair to say. So before we go into it, we've got a few stats to run through. George, as well as being a keen game shot and a true countryman, you have now won a total of 28 world titles, 16 in sporting, 10 in FitAsk and 2 in compact, 19 European titles, 14 in FitAsk and 5 in compact, and 14 World Cups. Now, excuse me if that number has gone up, but I'm pretty sure those figures are correct. We have just been through this to try and make sure it is correct. There's a lot to remember. I appreciate that. But, yeah, unbelievable stats just there. You've also won 3 world titles in 2015 alone. In 1 year, 3 world titles, which are the World Sporting, the World FitAsk, and the World Compact. This has never been done before, again, in the history of shooting, as far as I'm aware. There's then 3 world records to mention. I believe there was a 475 straight in English skeet.
Yep, 1991, Kingsbury Gun Club. I do remember that one.
I bet you do. Longest shot ever recorded at 130 yards, which I believe was where?
That was a Bisley Live.
Yeah.
Bisley Live. I can't remember the year, but I probably could have gone back slightly further that day, but we ran into some marquees.
I believe so, yeah, you ran out of room. And that was fully adjudicated by the Guinness. It was a proper world record.
And there's a lot of rubbish been spoken about that as well. People have turned around and say it's been photoshopped and all of that. Well, there was 500, 600, 700 people there.
Yeah.
And you can't, pull the wool out of their eyes. So
yeah, it's on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's had 8 or 9 million views.
Yeah.
So it's quite
a few
popular.
people have seen it. And then I believe this is also a world record from my research, but it's the most world titles won across 5 decades as well, I believe. And I think that might be in any sport. But you might correct me.
I'm not sure that there's anybody that's won world titles in 5 decades.
Yeah, full stop.
Full stop. So that was a real, plus point and a buzz for me. Yeah. Because I had it in my mind, and to go out and actually achieve it was lovely.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's fair to say, mate, those stats are nothing short of incredible. It's an absolute honour for me personally to have you on the podcast. It's been a long time coming. So, yeah, let's get into it. George, we always ask our guests, where was the first time you ever picked up a shotgun and got into the sport that we all love and know?
I used to... Look, I'm so old now that I go back into the old school regime of learning how to shoot and being taught how to handle and how to use a shotgun. And my grandfather gave me a 410 probably when I was 11, maybe 10 or 11, somewhere around that area, circa that time. And I had to carry that for a year with no cartridges. But that's how people were taught in those days. And it never did anybody any harm. And sometimes I wish when I see some of the stuff that goes on in the countryside, I wish that those values were still held.
And no doubt,
I think
you were made to unload the gun, even though it wasn't loaded.
Absolutely,
to
climb over
stile.
a fence, or and you were always, taught to go to the other side of the stile and take everybody's stuff as they came over, and look, those values, I think are very important in life.
Definitely,
and certainly, when you're talking about, a dangerous weapon that we deal with. I mean, our safety record is second bar none in my view. When you think of the amount of participants there are over the world and how many actual accidents do actually occur, the safety record is fantastic. But it should be paramount. I mean, we'd like to get to a zero accident scenario, but that's not, life doesn't allow that.
No.
So, but for me, the old values, absolutely. I'm very much a stickler for that.
Yeah, same here. I was brought up very much the same way, so I can relate to that one. And just before we get into, so what I've done is, for those watching that are regular watchers, you'll notice I've got a laptop in front of me. They'll have seen me never ever do this before, but I am sat across from one of the greats, so I have to do this. So I've segmented a load of questions. Just so before we get into that, I just want to set the scene then. So you had a 410 with your granddad. I believe you're a butcher family.
Yeah,
family
butcher's business, established in 1860.
So, and I imagine game was a key part to that business.
Look, you've got to remember that, when I was a kid growing up, the commercial shooting was not available as it is.
No.
As it is now. And I would say sort of from the early to mid-'80s is where it became very prominent. My grandfather was involved in a local pheasant syndicate, which was basically a bunch of farmers at Rolvenden, which is just up the road from here. And they used to shoot every Thursday. A very social event, bring your own lunch. When I drive through there occasionally now and look at where they do some of the drives, and you wouldn't even consider doing a drive out of a certain wood now, but they used to, and it used to be classed as one of the best drives on the shoot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I lost my mother last year, but before I lost her, we were at home just going through a bit of stuff and that sort of thing, and she came up with one of the old accounts books from the shop, and in 1982 the shop was buying the pheasants from the Rolvenden syndicate, and we were paying £3.50 a brace in 1982.
Wow.
In the feather. So if you then fast forward that to today, you'd probably be 20 quid a brace. However, that wouldn't happen because the poaching would be so rife that no one would be able to run a shoot anyway. So I mean, the poaching side of it is bad now anyway. So the cost of a bird, if it went that way, would be prohibitive.
Yeah. And so you just growing older, then you got involved in shooting. When was your first sort of competition shooting? I know you've talked over the years about starting on the straw bale shoots, the Sunday afternooners. But when did it really click for you that you wanted to get into clay shooting?
Probably around 13, 14. And it wasn't, still at that point, wasn't, my go-to sport. I loved playing cricket.
Right.
I loved playing rugby. And clay shooting was something we could do on a Sunday because the shop was shut.
Yeah.
So, I'd working in the shop from 7 years of age, wrapping up meat on a Saturday and that sort of thing when I wasn't at school. And that was part of the family business. That was part of the, life we led.
Yeah.
So for us to get into clay shooting properly, it probably got to the point where you'd won one or two events. I know I won my first ever trophy, which is quite a funny story, was in 1977, which was the East Sussex Gun Club and Wildfowlers Association annual shoot, which was 25 targets, and you were there all day. And there would have been 120 to 140 people go to that event, and they shot 25 targets, all manual traps. You would shoot 5 pairs of one target, 5 pairs of another target, and 5 singles.
Wow.
And that would take all day.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I won the junior high gun at that, and on the front, and it was a trophy, it would be about that size. I might even have it in there. And on the front of the trophy, it said Junior High Gun, East Sussex Gun Club, Wildfowlers Association, 1977. And I was really proud of this trophy. Came home, it was about that big, and I gave it to Mum and said, look at that, I've won that. And she went, oh, that's absolutely fantastic. And she turned it round, and on the back of it had Best Budgerigar in Show 1961. So they'd obviously just recycled an old trophy and reprinted the front of it. So
mega.
It's quite unique.
Yeah. So that brings me on to like my first segment, which is origins and mindset. So when did you realise that you had something special?
You don't.
You don't?
You don't.
You never.
Anybody that thinks they do is history.
So that was my next question. And on that note, do you think that there's such thing as natural ability in shooting?
I see a lot of people with natural ability.
Yeah.
Whether they're winners or not is another matter.
Yeah.
Throughout my life, I've seen a lot of people in lots of different sports that have so much natural ability. It's oozing.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those people find it so easy that they rest on their laurels and they don't have to work for it.
Yeah.
And working for it is key to anything. You only ever get out in life what you put in. So for me, I would honestly say that I'm not a natural and I'm not naturally gifted, but I've worked hard at it.
Yeah.
And I watched the best of my era when I was growing up. The Barry Simpsons, the AJ Smiths, the Jeremy Wellhams, the Duncan Lawtons, those sort of people. I watched those people for every move they made because I wanted to learn and make sure that I could understand why they made such a move. And cherry-picked most of that. I've never had a lesson myself. And, look, you have to be able... you can talk about talent and you can talk about natural ability and everything else, but you have to be in a situation where you understand your technique fully to be able to produce that technique in a situation of pressure.
Yeah.
And that's what shooting and that's what sport is all about.
Yeah. And that sort of comes down to mindset as well, because what I think so astonishing about you is so early on you were achieving great things. And what I see now in clay shooters of this day and age is the great talent, they've got fantastic ability, but the mindset isn't quite there until they're in the mid-30s to 40s where they've matured and they know how to deal with that pressure. So what do you think separated your mindset from people early on?
I think what separated the mindset would be, and it's very relevant to today, is the fact that there was no mobile phones.
Yeah.
We went out on a Sunday and we shot on a Sunday, and you had to fill the car up on a Saturday because there was no garages open. Just think about that in itself.
There's no Greggs, there's no coffee, there's no...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we would go out, probably do 3 or 4 shoots, a lot of straw balers, that sort of thing on a Sunday. Those events in itself, there was no immediate, so that, like most of these shoots nowadays, that the results are up and they've been sorted out before you've even driven out the car park. Whereas then you read about it in the Shooting Times
3 weeks,
2 weeks,
down the
2
line.
week or 3 weeks down the line, and people's images and auras and reputations were built because they had to build them in a manner where when you're out shooting, if you didn't shoot very well, your reputation went down because 3 weeks' time you had nothing in the magazines to show for it.
Yeah.
But if everybody, week in, week out, and look, you would know far more than I do because you're very social media, active and understand it and everything else. But it seems to me nowadays that, reputations are earned a lot more on how many times you post on social media than actually going out and doing the job yourself.
Yeah. I've got a question about that for you later, but you're right. People can build up reputations now on social media without even shooting a gun, about shooting.
Absolutely. And what they actually know about shooting, you could write on a postage stamp.
Yeah, on the back of a fag packet, 100%. Yeah.
And it does irk me slightly, but when you look at it from the people years ago, the Wally Sykes, Paddy Howe, Barry Simpson, Jeremy Wellham, who I've mentioned, Mickey Rouse, all of those people earned their reputations through ability.
Yeah.
Not through how many times they posted on social media. They went and they performed at events, world and European events, and they won at world and European events. And by winning at those events, they created an aura around themselves.
Yeah.
Once you create an aura around yourselves, look at the Tiger Woods era. Every time he turned up at a golf event, he had a 2-shot advantage on the field because they were done.
Mm.
And by creating your own aura, it then allows you a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah.
You can afford to miss. Nowadays, you can't afford to miss anything.
No.
But you can afford to miss.
Equally, though, that mindset you mentioned about Tiger Woods could go one or two ways. Yes, the competitors will be frightened to stand against you, but other competitors might think they're at an advantage because there's no pressure on them. Do you know what I mean? It's how you handle that.
Absolutely. It's whether you see the glass as half empty or half full.
Yeah.
And that is life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you're a big believer in that your mindset early on was just gained through sheer determination on a Sunday that got you that recollection in the times, like you say.
And, you talk to, I've had lots of great conversation with Rob Key, who's now, in charge of the ECB, and when he was captain of Kent. And, I gleaned so much information from him as a captain of how he went about things and, to build an innings, it's one run at a time.
Mm.
And clay shooting is one clay at a time. But most people nowadays are in the mindset because their psychologist or whoever they listen to or their coach or whatever says you're going to shoot 100 straight to start with. And because you're going to shoot 100 straight, as soon as they miss, they start taking off from the 100 straight. Well, you should actually be, I've got 10 on the first stand, I've got 10 on my card.
Yeah.
I've got 10 on the next stand, I've got 20 on my card.
Yeah.
Not, I've missed one, so I'm now on 99.
Yeah.
Because you're not that good. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 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 And on that then, so do you have any superstitions, as it were, when you're going into competitions?
Yeah, look, I think anybody that follows a regime would have a superstition. How heavy you follow that through, one of the reasons that I've never been a big team player is the fact that if I want to go out on the piss, I don't do it. But if I want to go out on the piss, in the middle of a competition, I don't want a team manager telling me I can't do it.
Yeah.
Likewise, if the team manager wants a team dinner at 8:30 and you're in the middle of a competition and I want to go to bed at 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
I want to be able to go to bed.
Yeah.
So I don't want people disturbing what I'm doing in my headspace to get it right for the event.
Yeah.
So that's why I've never been a big team player, and I suppose that really is superstition because I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
The lone wolf is being...
Yeah.
That's your superstition.
Yeah.
I want to be on my own to do my own thing. Yeah. Fair play. Okay, and then... So you talk about in the early days, Sundays was your only real time to shoot. You're then at school. You then leave school. At what point do you start training and actually going to a ground and knowing that you're missing a rabbit and standing there and
I've never done that.
No,
never done that.
So how did you?
I used to do all of my practice through competitions on a Sunday.
Yeah,
be it straw balers or whatever, and then you would go, through the week. Occasionally during the summer, you would have a local league where they would have a Wednesday night clay shoot, and then you go down the pub and have a pint.
Yeah.
But all of my training has always been done. The only time I've ever practiced was for double trap.
Yeah.
And that is purely timing and everything else. And occasionally, very early on, I would shoot a little bit of skeet just to get my angles correct and some timing back. Because if you can shoot skeet, you can shoot anything.
Yeah.
But I've never been a big practicer. And I'm a big believer, and obviously from a ground point of view, you're not going to want to hear this, but I don't know what you're practicing, because when you shoot the competition, what you've been practicing is not going to be in the competition. So what are you practicing?
Yeah,
you've got it's
shoot what you see.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
but that's why you need a sound technique.
Yeah.
So.
I suppose a lot of people could be practicing their technique more than the target.
I agree with you, and that's where that But it's how you look at it again.
Yeah. No, fair enough. You mentioned there you double trap. When you say that's what you practice for, just so everyone knows, double trap is Olympic trap as we know it now, or not?
No. Double trap was a specific Olympic discipline.
That's no longer a thing.
There's no longer within the Olympics. And probably one of my biggest failures with a shotgun. I would say that. Having said that, I did win a World Cup event shooting double trap in Fagnano in 1993. Which was very early on in my career. It was I think it was the first ever World Cup event I'd went to.
Yeah.
And I won it, and set a new world record at the time.
Right. Well, that's not a failure, George. Let me.
No, but
I wasn't going to ask you about your double trap career at all, but you brought it up.
But I then, because we talk about the mental game.
Yes.
And I think from that moment on, I subconsciously thought I'd arrived.
Okay.
Because I'd won that.
Yeah.
And never, ever found that headspace to go forward and do it again. I was close, but no banana, as we say. And for me, I think what Richard did, what Pete Wilson did, what Nathan Hales has done, fantastic achievement.
Yeah.
And they've got recognition outside of our sport.
Yeah.
But also in that same context, I'm content with myself now that I do enough things outside of the sport and am recognised enough outside of the sport that with probably what I've won within the sport, I've got a similar sort of recognition than winning the Olympics. It's not an excuse by any way. You know, in that game, I devoted a lot of time and effort into it, and in my eyes, I failed.
Yeah. And is it fair to say that's a bugbear?
No, not at all.
No.
Look, in everything in life, you've got to take it on and ride it as hard as you can.
Yeah,
and if at the end of the day you don't get to that pinnacle, I mean, we're talking, going to the Olympics, which is not like going to a Sunday fete down the road.
No, exactly.
And I feel as though if it came to ability wise, I would have the ability to be able to do it. I think the problem for me was focusing. So I've learned how to switch off and switch on for 2-minute periods. And I think to switch on for a 25-minute period when you're shooting a full layout of 50 targets was the bit that I didn't master.
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't a shotgun
no, I think that's
scenario.
I think most
it was
people
probably a mental scenario that I didn't master.
Yeah. Fair enough. Makes sense. Now, I've got a bit of a question just on the basis of the training. We went on to training. And it's a common theme with the top shooters that we interview. Not a lot of people would maybe be honest about this question, so I'm going to tend to skirt around it and ask you in a different way. If you had a quid...
I'll be honest, whatever you want to ask me.
If you had a quid for every clay you shot at, how much would you be worth?
I'll be worth a lot when I shot the double trap.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Although it's not as many rounds as you would think. I was probably shooting 20,000 practice a year, shooting double trap.
Yeah.
Plus shooting the other competitions. But look, you could probably find it. You probably work it out somewhere. I mean,
AI would probably tell us in this day and age.
Well, yeah, AI tell you lots of things. I have been with Game Ball since 1984.
Yeah, a long, long time.
Right. So it started off as Kent Cartridge Company. I've been with Game Ball since 1984 on a handshake. And look, so many people look for sponsorship and they win the local fete down the road and then they write to the cartridge company and they believe in their wildest dreams that they should be sponsored and they should have a full factory sponsorship. I mean, the price of cartridges and everything now, a major sponsorship, is fortunes of money.
Yeah.
And although I'm digressing slightly from your question, the thing would be that having been sponsored by them, they would probably have a record of what I've shot over the years.
That would be interesting.
But I don't. It's not massive numbers. I don't shoot massive numbers now.
No,
not at all. I mean, I would think I've shot less than 10,000 clay shells a year, for the last 10 years.
Wow.
And that is 100% the truth, and I can guarantee you that they would tell you that. Up until that point, it would certainly be no more than 15. It would certainly be no more than 15 a year, unless we were in the double trap period where you'd have to add that on to...
I think Peter Wilson would have been worth millions.
Yeah. There's absolutely no question of that.
Yeah.
But you see, that's the other thing is... you have to do it to your best ability.
Yeah.
You have to do something in an enjoyable fashion.
Yeah.
When it becomes a chore, you'll never concentrate as much as you will do if you're enjoying it.
Yeah. No.
And I find I'm a countryman. I love the countryside. I love being out in the countryside, working with and involved in the countryside. And for me, clay shooting is I only shoot clay 7 months a year. That's the other thing. I don't shoot them 12 months a year. I shoot clay 7 months a year, and it sounds awful, but it's a means to an end. it gives me something to do with a shotgun during the summer, because
You mean that?
yeah, absolutely. I love the people with it. I've made incredible friends all over the world, and I love being part of the sport. And I'd like to think
You're a massive
legacy,
part of the sport.
Yeah, but my true love is sitting in a hedge somewhere, or sitting up watching something through the binoculars, or that is my true love.
Gamekeeping almost, and pest control.
Or just being part of the countryside and being part of nature, and you see so many different things.
Yeah.
You know, I see clay shooting now. When we used to go clay shooting, and I'm probably talking recent times, when we started going clay shooting, there used to be a party afterwards. You know, it was a social occasion.
Yeah.
You'd go abroad. It was a social occasion with people you knew and people you wanted to travel with and everything else. Now, you know, most of the people that you go clay shooting with, unless it's in your inner circle, you know, they're wanting to get on to the next shoot, or they won't have a drink with you, or you know, that's why I think that what you've done up at Eaton Hall with the restaurant and everything, you could actually have some social occasions there, and it get back a little bit of what it's lost. But clay shooting as a sport is not a social sport in my view now. It used to be, but it's not anymore.
Yeah, I think you're probably right in saying it depends on the venue and the shooting ground, because a lot of shooting grounds are very unsociable.
Yeah.
One, because you wouldn't want to sit in the cabin and have a greasy burger off them. But I understand where you're coming from with what you're saying.
Well, look, and the other thing is, you know, with regards to game shooting and field sports in general, whether that be fly fishing or salmon fishing or, you know, game shooting, whatever, it's a very social sport.
Yeah. That's a big thing for us in everything we do, game day wise with Tweedle. It's social first, shooting second, and that, to be fair, I've got that off my dad. He's social first. 11s is the best part of the day, and everything else comes after.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're probably right. That could come back a bit more in the clay world, and every competition that we put on going forward, especially the big one in June next year, the focus is it's an event. It's a shooting event, but it's a social event, and it's an event. And so, yeah, it sounds sad for me to hear you say it's a means to an end, though. That's just. But I understand where you're coming from.
They're probably the terminology is slightly wrong.
You know what I
mean? The social side, the social side of it is my life.
Yeah.
You know, Philip Fussell told me years ago. And, you know, I learned so much off that man. So much. And he told me years ago, and his one big comment that he used to tell everybody, and they all used to look at him a bit strange, it's not all about pulling the trigger. And never has there been a truer word. Because how many times, and you've mentioned it earlier on, which we won't talk about, but how many times have you been to a shoot and it's a massive disappointment?
Yeah. So
if you go there, because you're going there with expectations.
Yes.
Because social media is, you know, it's absolutely on fire. It's this, it's that, it's everything else.
Yeah.
If you go to somewhere, as we've done all our lives, and having a shot is a bonus, then you're never going to be disappointed.
You never had a bad day.
No.
Very good comment. I think a lot of people can take something from that.
And that's where I'm coming from
Certainly
with regards to the clay shooting.
Yeah.
I'm not probably a means to an end is a very an abrupt thing to say, but
no, I think you've explained it enough. Yeah, people understand. So, next question is: what do you think a common mistake is that shooters do these days? And probably maybe young shooters. I think my next question as well, we might as well ask them both, is what is one, if there is one, technical principle that you never compromise on when shooting? And I think you're probably going to say that about the coaching that we've just spoken about is what are you actually practicing? If you're not practicing your technique, then you're not going to see that target every time at every shoot. So,
but you have to understand your technique
to be able to
practice
implement
it.
Yeah. So what do you think is a common mistake that people are making?
I think
Competitive people.
I think a lot of people don't address the target correctly with their feet. Their shoulders parabole, whereas in any sport, cricket, tennis, shooting, whatever you do, your shoulders have got to remain square and your head must remain still. And that gun must be mounted to your head, which remains still. The amount of people I see bring their gun up and drop their head to the gun, completely, it cannot be consistent because your neck is at an angle.
Yeah.
So if your head is up and you bring the gun to your head and you're keeping your shoulders square at all times, that is a technique that is sound, proven, and will give you results.
Yeah.
But anything other than that, you're not. I'm not saying it won't work. Everything works occasionally, but you're never going to be as consistent as the very best. And the very best do it time and time and time again. And they're never very far from the top.
No. Would you say that's the first thing you do when you enter a cage? You've seen the target. You've already decided where your feet are going to go and the way you're going to address that bird. Is that? Would you say that's the?
Look, we went up to Eaton Hall and we were having a mess around with Arthur and Sid and that sort of thing, and I shot that crosser right to left from the hip. Now, you couldn't do that off the bank if your feet weren't right. If your feet weren't right and your eyes weren't in line with your body and everything you do, you couldn't physically do that because as you shot it here, you drop your hips, so immediately my hands have come inside the line. Or if you're too there, you've gone down and your gun's going to parabole underneath it. Your feet have to be right.
Yeah.
So when you walk in, you've got to get your feet right. You've got to address your killing zone. And once your feet are on the line of that killing zone, you've then got to make sure you pull the trigger in the right place.
Yeah, fair play. So that's probably.
And I'm not going to sit here and say, I mean, I do shoot swing through pretty much for everything, but I'm not saying that technique is the one you've got to do because there are so many techniques out there that are taught nowadays, but a lot of them are taught to correct a mistake. I'm not saying that.
It's a good point because back in the day, it seemed like that was the only technique. It was bum, belly, beak, bang. Yeah, that was my dad. Everyone at the shoot, you come from behind, everything. Doesn't matter. Come from behind everything and just pull through and that's it. Whereas now, you've got 1,000,001 ways to.
Absolutely. But I think a lot of them have come about because where they've come about is they're correcting a fault that you've already got.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're not actually, when I give a lesson, I don't care whether you hit 100 out of 100 or miss 100 out of 100. But I want you to go away from that lesson having an understanding of what you're doing better. And the score is completely irrelevant because I can't control that.
No.
That's one of my uncontrollable parts of a lesson.
Yeah. So you would say that that's one technical principle that you never compromise on is how you address the bird, yeah? Is that what you say? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Cool. Mental game and pressure then. Obviously, after winning so many world titles and being as successful as you have been, George, what does pressure feel like now at your level? When you address any shoot-off, when you think back to the most recent ones, do you feel like you feel different to than your first ever shoot-off?
No. And I think if you did, as we hark back to early on, I think if you did...
That's when you...
It's the first sign that you should give it up, really. Yeah. Everybody needs adrenaline. Everybody needs to have a bit of pressure on them to to be able to focus and perform.
Yeah.
And if you can do that and focus and perform, then you need something there to be able to feed off. And if you haven't got that, it's empty. You're halfway behind the game.
Yeah, I think how can you not be a bit nervous and full of adrenaline going into a World Championship shoot-off? You wouldn't be human, would you?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And it's like, or getting up on the last day knowing you've got to shoot 48 or 49 on targets you've never seen.
Yeah.
And knowing that you've got to shoot those sort of scores, it's that's as much pressure as going into a shoot-off. I think if you get to a shoot-off, you've already done the hard work.
Yeah. And on that note, then, what's the comparison of the feeling of from winning your first world title to your 28th, your last one?
I go out to try and win every world championship I shoot in and every competition I shoot in, whether I'm shooting at Willow Farm or whether I'm shooting in a world championship in Italy or America or wherever it should be. You have to put that same amount of focus in every one of those events. However, having said that, I have tried to build throughout my career for the bigger events. So if I've got 1 or 2 world championships coming up within a 2 or 3 week period, which quite often happens in July with the FITASC and the World English, then I will back off my competition schedule for 4 weeks before that.
Right.
I'll back off for a couple of weeks and then increase it up to doing a bit more so that your timing comes right for that period of time. Look, the old adage, form is temporary, class is permanent, comes into play in any sports event.
Yeah.
And you cannot be at the top, world number one, week in, week out, week in, week out, and not have some form of,
Yeah. In your case, very
blip.
little. Very little in your case.
But
the same feeling of satisfaction, I assume, from the first to the last. You still...
100%, and that's what we do it for. But in fact, it was very interesting. We watched a thing on Kate and I was watching a thing on television, and somebody was crowned world champion, and I said to her, that the thing is that they take it in and they're world. Oh, I'll tell you who it was. Last week, Lando Norris.
Oh yeah.
And so we watched it, and and they said, "Oh, he's going to go and have a massive night tonight and everything else." And I said, "That's great, go and do that." But I said, tomorrow morning you'll wake up just the same person, and you'll be thinking about next year and regaining it. It lasts for maybe a day, and then you think, now I've got to go again, or it doesn't last for a day, it lasts for a month, and you don't win anymore.
Yeah. Because you think you've done it. Yeah. I think that's what's so... I personally, I think that's what's so impressive about you is to stay winning for 5 decades, the amount you've won, because a lot of people would have thought, I have literally ticked it all off. What else is there to win? And that's what I've got next, to be honest, is how have you stayed interested and committed to competitions for so long? And has that been effective? Has that been affected? Your hunger been affected anyway? The more you've achieved.
No, I think there's been some big ups and downs. One is I'm very, very appreciative and very loyal to all of my sponsors, as they are to me.
Yeah.
And I don't undertake any of those commitments lightly.
No.
Whatever I'm endorsing, and I will only endorse products I believe in.
Yeah.
So for me, that is a massive undertaking, and I feel as though if I'm not fully committed clay shooting wise, I'm letting them down, which is, not right.
No.
And when it comes to doing stuff like that, you've got to commit fully to it in a way where you've got to, as we've said, you've got to enjoy it. You've got to commit fully to it, and then your enjoyment out of the whole thing comes from your ability to do it properly and being. I've got to the stage now with my career where I had a big sort of blip in form after we had the robbery here, and mentally, after we'd had the robbery, I wanted to show people that I could still go out and perform at the best level.
Yeah.
Even after I'd been hit on the head with a 4.5 pound club hammer, and and I still now, if you look closely, that will still swell there, because once the fluid goes up to the top of my head and then starts draining down, where all of the veins and capillaries and everything got smashed on there, if you get into any situation where you're concentrating, that will swell up, because when it starts to drain down, it doesn't. Which consequently, for a period of time, used to half close my eye, which is the eye that I was shooting on. And I was so desperate to try and prove to everybody, prove to the world that I could still do it. Between 2013 and 2015, I would say they were the halcyon years. 2015 to win 3 World Championships in a year. And I didn't care what anybody thought, because I thought, well, if I have to win more events now, I've done something wrong in my life. Yeah. I shouldn't need to win another clay event.
No, you shouldn't.
And I had that mentality that it didn't care whether I did or I didn't. And then, obviously,
look what happened.
And then in 16, obviously, we had the robbery in February. I'd actually made the decision to change guns after winning 3 World Championships.
Before the robbery?
Before the robbery.
Okay.
And I'd shot a high-tech.
Right.
And that's when it came out. And Mauro gave me the first high-tech, and I shot it. And I tell you now, I was shooting it better than I'd ever shot any gun, in my view. And unfortunately, I came back and I said to Kate, I've made the decision, I'm going to shoot the high-tech this year. I think it'll do me good. It'll refocus me after last year. And that's where you're always striving to get better. It'll refocus me after last year, winning everything. Give me a bit of a boost.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that night was the night of the robbery, and it got stolen.
Wow.
And I never ever have managed to connect with the high-tech in the same way since.
Am I right in thinking this year you've gone?
I went back to the high-tech for a period of time.
Yeah, I thought you did.
I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of ifs and buts have happened this year. There was as has been documented in plenty of social media things. The international governing body, we ran the shooting for Gera, and the international governing body didn't like it. So, there was a lot of talk about, the possibility that I was going to be banned and everything else. And I completely lost my mojo with all of it, and spent the whole year sort of in limbo as to what was actually going to happen. And then when it came to the point that I didn't get banned in March, it was too late to book stuff, and I just sort of had a year where I tried a few things because I sort of wrote the year off, shall we say. But this year, there are new horizons wanting, and hopefully I'll be back into it.
Good to hear. Good to hear. George, do you ever experience doubt?
Gout.
Doubt, not gout.
I was going to say gout. Yeah, I think
I
everybody.
wasn't going to ask you if you experience gout.
I think everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'd be human if you didn't.
Yeah.
Or you're never ever gonna achieve anything, because if you don't question yourself, look, you only learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
You have to make a mistake to learn from it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever learns from perfection. So when you make mistakes, if you don't doubt yourself, well, where are you going to come from with it?
Yeah.
It's I of course you doubt yourself, but it's how you get through that
And how you manage it.
Yeah, and that then you hark back to your technique, because if your technique's sound, you've got no doubt that your technique is going to see you through it.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose your new equipment and your gun and everything. Yeah. And gout? I'm only messing. Yeah.
I haven't had any gout, but Jamie has. It's very funny. Watching him hobble round is probably makes my Sunday.
Yeah. He had it at Eton Hall, didn't he, Jamie?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Or so he said. I think that's because he got a buggy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've probably covered it and people can sort of take out snippets, but what do you think, in your opinion, separates local shoot winners, those that are at the top of the shoot list, like on the local 100 registers all the time, to world champions? Because I can name and think of a few that, certainly in our region, they're shooting 97s, 98s, 99s at registers all the time. But when it comes to the worlds, they're nowhere near. What do you think that is?
I think probably the mindset that we talked about of me in 2015, where they don't worry, they use that at a regional event or a registered event or a club event, and it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they shoot 97s, 98s, and they think, hang on a minute, I can win a Worlds here.
Yeah.
And to actually win a World and, not win a World is it's life-changing.
Yeah.
To win a World Championship for 99.99999% of the entire world population. How many other world champions? We've got a lot in shooting, and we're very privileged to have a lot in shooting.
Yeah.
And I've grown up in an era where, without being rude to, several people, for a long period of time, it was dominated by Richard and myself. I've got a huge amount of respect for what Richard's done, because I know how bloody difficult it is.
Yeah.
And to win a world championship is a life-changing circumstance. To win two is,
Yeah, and that's
almost in. So, you get a lot of people to go from a club shoot where they're shooting 97 to win a world championship is almost turning around and saying, you're a chef at the local cafe, but now they want you to cook at the Ritz.
That's a great analogy.
But it is.
Yeah. I think more so, probably we probably have covered it, like I say, and taken bits and pieces out of what we discussed. But yeah, I think it's probably more mindset and the way they approach competition than anything. Because, like I said, you'll be able to think of a load of people that are extremely talented and win a lot of great shoots, but they just never got the next 1%. It's like everything.
But also there is the other scenario as well, where you've had probably 3 decades where 10 people have fairly dominated those 3 decades.
Yeah.
And I'm using the term 10 quite loosely, but those 10 people have cost a lot of people who possibly would have won a world championship their chance.
If you could name those 10 people, George, who would
I
you
wouldn't
name?
want to.
No.
I wouldn't want to, but I know who they are. But if I name 10, there's going to be 10 that I know that are good mates.
Yeah.
That'll say, "Well, why wasn't I named
know.
then?" and you're never gonna win that argument.
No.
So look, there's a huge amount of great shots out there, but there's 10 people. If you want to see who those 10 people are, just look at the stats over the last 10 years.
No.
And you'll see who's won what.
Yeah.
And they've denied a lot of people a lot of championships.
Yeah. Can you ever remember a moment where you felt a championship slipping away from you, but you managed to gain it back?
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
Sandringham in I can't remember what year it was. It would be a British Open at Sandringham circa probably either late 90s or early 2000s, and they had a 6-man final, and I think I went into the final leading or tied for the lead or whatever, and shot the final okay, but Richard Folds shot the final absolutely lights out.
Wizardry.
And I came to the last stand and shot the last stand, and he had the last stand to shoot, and I'm pretty sure he had the last pair to shoot, and he only needed one of them
Right.
to win. And I'd sort of pretty much shot it well all week and shot the final well as well, but he'd shot better, and I think he missed the last pair. Well, I know he missed the last pair because I was walking down to shake his hand, and he missed the last pair, and then we had a sudden death shoot-off, and I beat him in the sudden death shoot-off. So, those sort of things, and I exactly the same thing happened. Exactly the same thing happened in the British double trap at Southern Counties, probably 10 years later, where I had to kill one out of the last pair, and I missed the last pair in windy conditions, tied with Richard, and he beat me in a shoot-off.
she was on the other foot.
Those sort of things. It's part of sport.
Yeah, of course.
It's part of sport.
Yeah. Which victory meant the most to you and why?
Probably a Chemo Mountain in '92, the first World Fit Ass Championship.
Where was that, sorry? A Chemo Mountain?
A Chemo Mountain in Vermont, America.
Wow.
And it was up, literally, it was on the top of the ski resort. You had to get a cable car up to it to shoot it. It was, and these are things that, clay shooting nowadays is, we those sort of events were proper events.
Well, just looking in your trophy room there, there's names of cities and the destinations and the places where you've won the trophies.
Yeah, and the biggest trophies have been stolen. So you can imagine what it would have looked like.
Flipping out, yeah. But I mean, just the destinations and where you've been, it's quite amazing, isn't it?
And as I said, I grew up thinking that my entire life would be in a butcher shop.
Yeah.
And shooting has given me the opportunity to do things that I never thought were imaginable. Meet people that I never thought were imaginable. And I'm eternally grateful to the sport and everything that goes with it for allowing me to get good enough to be able to have that opportunity. I've shot in pretty much every continent, and I've had some fantastic times, and I have met friends throughout the world. And that to me is, people turn around and say, "Oh, why don't you retire while you're at the top and everything else?" But I wouldn't be able to go to South Africa and meet James Winter and Wayne Young and Ian Grimback and all the team at Valley Gun Club. I wouldn't be able to go to Hungary see Andras and Norbert Horvath and all of that sort of thing. I wouldn't be able to go to America and see all my friends in America. It's just so. The whole thing is such a community.
Yeah,
and I feel that I'm getting back to the bit where I feel as I haven't got to prove too much, so I can go to these events, represent my sponsors in the most efficient manner I possibly can, but I'd like to think they think that I don't have to win for their product to be thrown at the forefront of everything that I do. And I don't mention my sponsors because everybody knows who they are.
Yeah. I think that's very fair to say. I don't think you're expected to win. It's just you've done what you've done, and that'll never be forgotten.
Yeah.
So we were on the victory that meant the most to you, and why?
Victory. Yeah. So a chemo mountain in 92. My father was dying of pancreatic cancer, and I wasn't going to go. And then finished up going because he told me to go. Won the World Championship, which was, fantastic for me to win the World FITASC for the first time. And, unfortunately, we lost him straight after that. But that's probably, to win it for him was a fantastic thing. In terms of probably perfection, in my view, I shot in 2010 in Arezzo in Italy, World FITASC again, and I shot the first 100 straight in 40 degrees of heat. And then I think I shot 174 out of 175 and missed 2 in the last round, which I just tightened up a little bit on, and shot 197, and that to me was about as close to perfection as you can get.
Very impressive. The toughest competitor you've ever faced, and why? The thorn in your side throughout your career.
I would have to say Richard.
I was going to say, yeah.
I would have to say Richard, purely and simply because when his timing is on, he's not going to miss.
No, he's a smooth operator.
He's not going to miss.
Yeah,
and he's had a lot of psychological training with a guy called Peter Terry, who's out of the Australian Institute of Sport, and Richard and Peter Terry got on famously. Peter was there when he won the Olympics, and that mental training has always, in my view, set him apart from everybody else. And you look at his record as to what he's won, it's unprecedented.
Yeah.
And, he's a proper person as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's a proper person. That if he goes and shoots a score, he's shot the score.
Yeah.
There's no skullduggery or anything like that.
No.
And for me, I hold him alongside a lot of other people as well. But if you're looking for just one person, I would hold him in the highest respect.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. He's an absolute gent, and
yeah.
I'd like to think a friend now, to be fair. So,
yeah.
And you talk about Richard has had what would you call it? What's the term for psychological training? Would you say what's it called, Charlie? Not psychological.
Yeah, mental training with a sports psychologist.
Sports psychologist. That's what I'm looking for. Have you ever had anything like that, George?
I have, but I felt I hadn't taught him anything after about 6 months.
Yeah, fair enough.
Look,
we had Phil.
I've seen it work with Richard.
Yeah, we
I've
had
seen it work.
We had
with
Phil Gray on recently, and he spoke about it quite a bit. Him and Catherine have had some stuff done, and Phil swore by it.
Yeah. But you've got to believe in it.
Yeah, of course.
You've got to believe in it, and it that harps back to me with regards to instruction. And if you're going to teach somebody properly and get them to hit targets, they've got to be in awe of you, and you've got to have a presence with them so that they believe in what you say, because they have to believe in what you say. If they don't believe in what you say, you may as well push water uphill.
Yeah.
And part of the belief that what you say is right would be, if I was to take that gun there, pass it to my instructor and say, will you show me?
Yeah.
Now, how many people could actually do that? Because a lot of them wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
You get a real tough target and they're telling you to do this and they're telling you to do that. Well, you show me. And if you then can't do it, everything you've taught them over a period of time is undone because they think, well, you know better than me.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah, it's all mentally, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a moment that still plays in your head today of like a maybe I wish I did this or that moment?
No, I don't think so. I've always worn my head on my, hand on my heart, and that's probably got me into a little bit of hot water over the course of my career. But I believe in what I say, and I don't say things and do things in a light-hearted manner. I'd be quite calculated in what I said. Hence the reason that it created a furore earlier in the year with regards to the World English and my comments about the final. But my view of it is that we're a spectator sport, and you want to encourage a spectator sport, and nobody wants to see people missing.
Yeah.
And it's not as though that's the first time I've mentioned it. I have mentioned this on 15 occasions over the last 40 years.
Yeah.
We've had finals, hundreds of finals that I've been in. And I'd like to think that I'm speaking from a position where I've been in more finals than most.
Was that Facebook post you did poorly received? Because I thought on the whole everyone agreed with you.
Well, everybody did on Facebook, apart from the people that had actually put it on. But look, doesn't bother me what anybody thinks.
No, it's your opinion.
That is my opinion,
Yeah.
and I'm, I still stand by it. 100%, I stand by it. I would far rather see a final where
Thousands of people watching, and
absolutely, and you've got 6 guys there that are allegedly the best 6 guys on that weekend for the World Championships, and they shoot anywhere between 25 straight and 22. I think that's a very fair reflective on, because pressure will take them off you.
yeah,
Pressure will take them off you. You go and shoot 25 straight at skeet.
yeah,
And when someone says, if you do that, you're world champion.
yeah. Well, to be fair, Clive Bramley and Jamie Peckham at the British, we obviously had the super final, and it didn't look stiff at all. The targets weren't stiff, and they were saying we're going to make it so that pressure takes targets away from them. And you look at that, I dread to think how many people were stood watching that shoot off at the British. A lot of people, and we live streamed it and blah blah blah. And it was just well received, and that's been talked of, hopefully, and received well from what I can hear anyway.
Yeah,
but like you say,
absolutely. But what I've said, and what I've done, people took personally, and I don't know why, because I've only said what I've said to further the sport.
Yeah.
So, if they choose to take it personally, that's up to them. I'm not going to change my view.
No, I wouldn't lose sleep over that, George.
No.
Would any of your success have been possible without Kate?
Very little. Very little. Look, at the end of the day, she organises everything. She does everything. She's an absolute rock. I don't get any quarter at all. If I shoot like a dick, I'm told I've shot like a dick. There's no sugarcoating it at all. And I can go away with her, and hence the reason that I've shot as an individual, because when we go away from the shooting ground, we don't talk shooting.
No.
And I see so many people, they're sitting in there and you can see them in a restaurant. You know, you're sat at the other end of the restaurant talking about horse racing or fly fishing or
About
general life.
The target
and
on
you
stand
can see them
6.
going like this and, yeah. and I just think you've got to have a break from it.
Yeah.
But no, look, I 100%, she's been my rock, and I would not have won what she's won, what I've won when she's been with me, and that's gone on. I've said that on record a lot of times.
Yeah. No, I know. I just had to get Kate in there somewhere.
Yeah.
The evolution of the sport is obviously way different now to when you started off, George. How different is clay shooting now compared to when you first started?
Very, very. I mean, nowadays, and I think this is where I'm a massive believer in the fact that British shooting is way behind the rest of Europe and the rest of the world.
In what way?
When you go to international events, we're just not in the right ballpark.
In terms of the scale of the event and the social?
No, in terms of the senior team competing.
Yes.
And if you hark back to the 90s, 2000s, late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you'd go to Southdown, for an example. Okay, on a Southdown on a Sunday afternoon, you would have 100 sporting, you'd have a 25 bird sport trap pool shoot, you'd have a 10 birds pool shoot, you'd have 25 skeet pool shoot, you'd probably have a ball trap pool shoot as well.
Yeah.
And at 7 o'clock at night, there'd still be 150 to 200 people there watching 5 world champions shoot off for 80 quid.
Yeah.
And every week you shot, you would have to be at the event to win your high gun money, or you'd lose it if the other person was there and you weren't. Now it's all add and divide. It's all, doesn't matter who wins. It's all median. When you used to go to those events and you were head to head against other world champions, European champions, British champions, English champions, week in, week out, you fine-tuned your pressure shooting ability on that alone.
Yeah. Whether you're shooting off for a pool shoot or whatever it was, you're practicing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You go to an event and all of a sudden, I'm shooting against a Hungarian, or I'm shooting against an American or an Italian. What does it matter?
Yeah.
I've been shooting against...
I wonder if that's because a part of that is because clay shooting is now more accessible. It's like back then, like you say, you'd be shooting week in, week out at these shoots, but because there was fewer grounds and it was less accessible. Is that not true?
I would say there's more grounds.
Really?
But the difference being, most of them only opened on a Sunday.
Right.
Now, if you wanted to, I'm pretty sure you could do it. I haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure you could do it. Certainly in the southeast area, you could shoot a registered event
every day,
a minimum of 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
And I think, where's that arrived from? Because we used to look forward to a Sunday.
Yeah.
And the Sunday, you didn't want Sunday to end, hence the reason that everybody was there to a pool shoot. Now, to give you an idea of how clay shooting's changed, I'll give you a prime example. And we were talking about it the other day, and you probably won't even have a clue about this.
Okay.
So in 1990, I was sponsored by the Ashdown Garage, BMW dealership.
Okay.
And AJ Smith had won the World Fit Ask in 87 and 89. And I had won the World English in 88 and 89. So basically, there was a who is the best?
Yeah.
Is it the World Fit Ask shooter or is it the World English shooter? Yeah. So Ashdown Garage put up, and they called it the Clash of the Titans. So it was a head-to-head with AJ Smith and me shooting each other head-to-head. So we'd shoot 100 Fit Ask, 100 English Sporting, and 100 Super Sporting as the decider. So we'd shoot 300 targets.
Yeah.
They had 2,200 people pay a tenner to come and watch it.
Flipping heck. That's a lot of
Tell
money.
me clay shooting's changed.
Big time.
And in those days, and it was a party.
Mm.
It was a proper party. And
Who won?
It'd be remiss of me to say, but but that's the difference.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have even known about it. You don't even.
I didn't know about it.
No,
I didn't.
and it's actually quite interesting nowadays because of the scenario with Prince Andrew. But Prince Andrew's then girlfriend was a girl called Koo Stark, and she came and presented the prizes.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a prime example of where clay shooting is different.
Yeah. No, massively. Yeah. Yeah. You look back at I mean, flipping out. The White Gold Cup was on Sky Sports, wasn't it? You know,
And a lot, but for me, the element of the miss is why it's not televisable. So, you know, if you get a snooker ball, roll along the cushion, rattle in the jaws and come out, oh, you know, nearly went in, dart just the other side of the wire.
yeah.
You know, all of a sudden, I could go bang over there and the clay's over there, and you don't know how close I was to hitting it.
No idea.
However, I think that there's a possibility which I'm actually exploring as we speak, and I don't want to talk too much into it, but with regards to some of the new technology that's coming out, I think there's a distinct possibility that being able to track shot is not too far away.
Very
When
good.
you think what they can do elsewhere with
Yeah.
golf balls and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And I think that could be the key to unlocking a sleeping giant because, you know, actual participation worldwide is vast. The actual television participation within our sport is minute because, you know, it's not really a televised sport.
No, I mean, YouTube is our television, isn't it, for clay shooters, isn't it? And I think, you know, it's fair to say there's a lot of extremely good people doing some extremely great videos, getting a lot of views.
Yeah.
You know, you did some stuff with Johnny, and Johnny's views are unbelievable. And I think all that side of things shows just how...
Well, they were when I was on this. And he spent the day trying to kiss me.
Trying to smoke your cigar and give you a kiss. He's some boy, isn't he? But yeah, it's. I think it just shows though when you can see actual stats of viewers and likes. It's an immediate thing we can see in front of us. It just shows, in my opinion, that the shooting world and everything in that is at an all-time high in terms of participation. The sad thing is we're at all-time high of people wanting to stop what we do. But anyway, that's
but I mean, look, we're going back to what I said earlier on about you have to be very careful in that scenario where sometimes a little information is too much.
Do you know, my next question on this list is, in your opinion, has social media helped or harmed the sport?
I from my personal point of view, because I'm old school and I know how things used to be,
Yeah.
I don't think it's got a positive effect on it at all. I don't think it's got all of a sudden, most of the people that go shooting are mega champion this and mega champion that, because all of a sudden they've only got to post about how wonderful they are.
Yeah.
And it's like anything, isn't it? 50% of the people will believe it.
Yeah.
How do the Ponzi schemes work?
Yeah. Pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50% of them believe it, and then they carry on with those 50, and then 50 of the next 50 believe it. So I think you have to be. I think there's a place for good. There's a place for good. I mean, you'd think years ago, Jack Hargreaves out of town. Jack's game. You probably wouldn't even know what I'm talking about. He's got the same
surname as me, and I don't even know what you mean.
Wouldn't even know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they were cult programs on the countryside, shooting, hunting, fishing. And I think that done properly, you would have more traction from that, because rather than have 3,000 mini celebrities, to have 10 with proper voices,
without a doubt,
actually would make more of a presence.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that. Yeah, and it would be amazing, wouldn't it, to show on a TV programme, fully documented, as good as they do Springwatch, for example, to follow a gamekeeper.
I totally agree with you.
Would be the best viewing ever.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I knew we were coming today, I've had a look back, and there's some great clips of you 10, 12, 15 years ago with the Field Sports channel, when you're just out moseying. There was one video where you're putting a few rabbits in the pot, and then you come across to feed your ducks, and there's a vixen fox on the grain pile, and then all of a sudden a dog fox comes on, and they're playing on your grain pile. And it's actually it's an amazing video. That you take the vixen out, the dog fox clears off, and you're saying you're going to sit quiet, and next minute the dog comes back and investigates it, and it's great viewing, and it's what happens in the countryside.
Of course it is.
And
I took some stick for that, mind.
I bet you did.
Imagine.
Well, when you leave a massive pile of grain next to a duck pond, George, it's a magnet to foxes.
Just did I take some stick for that one. But anyway, let's gloss over that.
It's a great video.
It is a great video.
Yeah.
Not one that I was expecting to have.
No, I can imagine. Right, George, obviously, naturally, I'm going to defend the social media stance on things, so let's just rewind there. I do believe that in the last sort of 5 to 10 years, certainly, that shooting has become a trend, or certainly fashionable, like the country way of life and the clothing, and a lot more girls are getting involved, I believe, because of the impact of shooting, impacts of the social media side of things. So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Some things are good, some things are bad. Some people put out stuff that shouldn't be put out, but on the whole, I feel like in terms of participation, that's increased because of social media.
I'm not in any way decrying. I'm not in any way decrying it. And life now, I mean, I find the most unbelievable thing possible in life is that somebody can earn money by being an influencer. What is an influencer? When I was at school, that was something you spent 3 days in bed with.
Yeah.
Influenza. Yeah. To be honest with you, I find the whole thing bizarre, but I'm of that age, and I don't understand it.
And let's have it right. I would have given an arm and a leg to grow up in your era. Without social media, and I think certainly I've got a baby on the way, and it scares me that they're going to grow up in an era that's even different to the way my era was. But
and life nowadays is sold on social media. I get that. I completely get that.
Yeah, including Tweedle tickets sold on.
But I do completely get that. But for me, I just don't think that some of the stuff that goes out probably shouldn't go out.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's like game shooting. It's not necessarily vetted in the way that it could well be.
Yeah.
So, that's just look. We're both entitled to our views, and I'm not saying that yours is right, mine's wrong, or mine's right and yours is wrong. That there has to be a place nowadays for social media and social media coverage. But I do think that people should sometimes think before they put out what they put out.
Yeah. One thing I do find sad is big brands, as in major brands, car brands even, skirt around the fact that the biggest customer base are indeed gamekeepers, shooters, big clothing brands. They don't, in their marketing campaigns, they do not include that. Whereas back in the day, you'd look at like a Land Rover advert on the TV even, or in a magazine, had people going shooting in them. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now,
absolutely,
I do find that sad that they don't.
But then that's the political side of gun ownership, isn't it?
Of course.
And you're never going to have an issue. You're never going to have an issue where you're not dealing with that.
No.
You're going to have to. You're going to have to put up with that. And as things tighten, it's probably going to get worse.
Yeah. George, if you had the chance, what rules or changes would you improve on the sport globally?
I would probably make FITASC gun position optional.
Wow.
For two reasons. One is I think it'll open up a bigger market. There's a lot of people shoot compact because they can't shoot. They struggle with their gun mount, and they can shoot gun pre-mounted. For me, the reason I would do gun position optional is it's so much easier for the ref to be able to ref it. If you've got a referee that is looking here at your gun position, they're trying to work out when you move as to whether you've seen the target or not. And then they've got to go, their focus is here, and they've got to focus here and then focus on seeing the target and then scoring the target. When they're focused, they're close, their eyes are used to looking here, then they've got to look up and look back. For me, it would be a lot easier and a lot fairer to ref if you didn't have to worry about the gun position.
Would that not be a big part of FITASC, though, that you can't pre-mount?
Oh, of course it is. It is part of it. The reason I say it is because when we did the Fugera Mountain Shooting Championship, which I thought it was a fantastic success, and we did it as super sporting, but super sporting, the rules are different to FITASC. The people that came enjoyed the shoot so much more because they hadn't got a focus on
The gun mount.
a gun mount, and you can put on slightly more difficult targets when you haven't got a, like some of the stuff we put on, you couldn't have put on if you'd have been shooting gun down because it would have been away from you.
Yeah.
But because you could pre-mount, you could put that target on.
Yeah.
There's a specific target over the lake. It's just it was a spectacular target. But you couldn't have put it on if you had shotgun down because the target wouldn't have been in range by the time you fired your first shot.
Yeah.
So those sort of things. And look, everything's got to evolve.
Yeah.
I think that I think that taking the championships, I probably would err down the route now of basically grading the championships. If you have a 5 or 6 day event, so your C's shoot the first day, and depending on how many entries they get part of the second day, then your B's come in, and so on and so on.
Right, okay.
Leading up to your double A's and triple A's and masterclass shooters, if you're in the States, shooting together at the end.
Yeah.
Because that way, weather conditions are fair. All of a sudden, Churchill's last year was 8 days. Fantastic thing to put on a World Championship over 8 days. How can that possibly be fair over 8 days? Weather conditions are never going to remain the same for 8 days.
Yeah.
There isn't, you could, if you put on skeet or down the line, it wouldn't be the same.
No.
So for me, if you're going to get a fair result, those people that stand a very good chance of winning it should be shooting together.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's everyone could probably reason with that, I think.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you would give to a young shooter that's aiming to become competitive and maybe even take on a world title? What's one piece of advice from you?
Take in as much as you can at an early age, because the older you get, the more your parents aren't going to support you. and how many people do we see go to, finish the juniors and then stop? And there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I could tell you a lot of people that were very, very good juniors that don't shoot anymore.
Yeah.
And I've seen them all through my life. And if you take in more information than you need to early on in your career, it'll set you good for later on when your parents stop supporting you.
Yeah, when you have to start paying for your own cartridges.
Yeah.
Solid. Next bit's on legacy and reflection. So, George, I think you still have a lot to give. But let's fast forward 100 years from now. How would you want to be remembered?
I think what I've achieved in this sport will only be remembered posthumously anyway. I honestly do, because I'm not a big-headed person, but it's a vast amount of world championships to have won. Vast amount. And I'll never forget having won one. I went into the local pub after a game of cricket. So I think I won the world championship on the Sunday, came back, and on the Tuesday we were playing cricket for the village. Touring side came down, and we went back to the pub afterwards, and I walked in, and there's a bloke at the bar, and he said, "Oh, you got a good tan. Where have you been?" I said, "I was Spain." He said, "Oh, right." He said, "What was that for then?" I said, "World Championship." "Oh, right. Win it?" And it was just a throwaway line, as much to turn around and say, it was expected locally in the village pub that I would go to a World Championship and win it. And they had, and I remember standing there thinking, you have absolutely no conception of what goes on and goes into it.
Yeah.
It was just because they see it time after time. And I think that when you actually stop or you pass on, people will actually look at it and say, "No, that's quite an impressive."
100%. It can't be forgotten. That's for sure.
I mean, everybody talks about the World Championships. They don't talk about the European Championships, and the European Championships in itself would be a legacy.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to ask you. Everyone talks about the world titles all the time. What do you think?
You haven't mentioned the British Open. You haven't mentioned.
No, exactly. What do you think one thing or one competition or one thing that's happened in your career that's perhaps been overlooked that you feel?
I don't. Look, I'm sure there's lots of things, and there's lots of things that I've done. I went to America. I I went to America for the World All-Round Championships, and they had it in their back door in Dallas, organised by Scott Robertson, and I think that they put up a fair chunk of money, and I think they all thought that they were going to just have a divvy up, and we shot 900 targets in 3 days, I think, and it actually turned into a fantastic social shoot, just like the old days.
Yeah.
But I finished up winning it by 20 odd targets or something like that. And,
wow.
The world's, or certainly America's best were there, and, they were all paying big money, and there was a lot of pressure on every shot. And yet, nothing was ever sort of mentioned about it. So
probably is one thing.
All right, it wasn't an official world title, but it was the World All-Round Championship. We don't even talk about that sort of thing. So those sort of, I've been very lucky to have achieved what I've achieved, and I've done a lot of it abroad. So a lot of my success and a lot of my what's the word I'm looking for? So people coming back to me with respect is a lot more associated with me when I go abroad than it is here, because I've achieved so much more on foreign soil.
Right. Yeah.
I've won. I don't know what the breakdown would be, and I've won a lot here, but I've won so many different Grand Prix in different countries,
and they've witnessed that, and
they've witnessed that, and then you've gone back and defended that, over a period of time.
Yeah. Outside of shooting, what are you most proud of?
Outside of shooting, what am I most proud of?
She's sat right there, mate. Come on, let me help you out. You have already been mentioned, Kate.
5 overs, 5 maidens, 8 for naught.
Really? 5 overs, 5 maidens,
8 for naught.
That's a fairly impressive start. How old were you then?
I wasn't that young, was I? It was in a cup game, an evening cup match, 20 over slog. East Sussex Cricket Association.
Playing against the blind or something.
Yeah. Obviously, you've still got to do it. No, look. Outside of shooting, I've had a fantastic time with Kate, and although a lot of it is shooting related, I've now got the enjoyment of going horse racing, and it's just becoming a passion of mine, as you can imagine.
I do enjoy the odd video. What's your friend called that videos you?
Oh, Chris Gordon.
Yeah.
The trainer. He's the trainer.
Is he? Yeah.
Not that you'd know it.
It does make me smile, those sort of videos. Yeah. Hardest target you've ever seen, George? We've asked you the hardest competition, but hardest target. Oh, Charlie?
Man down.
Okay. He's all right. He's still alive. Yeah.
Hardest target I've ever seen. I would think the hardest target I've ever seen, or the hardest target I've ever shot in competition, would be a fair thing. So in 1997, and I still talk about it now, in 1997 we shot the World Championships in Sun City, and God rest his soul, Kate and I stayed with Luke Riddington and Tracy Riddington for the week of the competition in the Lost Palace in Sun City. We had a fantastic time, and the girls did bits and pieces, and Luke and I went and played golf pretty much every day when we weren't shooting. And it then transpires that he shoots 190, and I have to shoot 49 out of 50 on the last day to tie with him.
Wow.
And we'd got 9 holes of golf planned in the afternoon as well. So I shoot 49 out of 50, and we go out and play golf together, knowing that at 4:30 or whatever, we both got to shoot off for the World Championship.
Yeah.
So it was quite a tetchy round of golf. There wasn't a lot of conversation. And then we came back and we shot off, and the first 2 stands of the shoot-off were fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
And we were both, I think we were both tied, or there was one in it, or it was there or thereabouts. In fact, I'm sure we were both tied. And it came to the last stand, and there was 3 targets on the last stand that were very shootable, and a 95-yard teal.
Flipping heck.
Quartering slightly right. And in the shoot-off, there was Luke and I shooting for gold medal, and Thierry Delatre and Martin Elworthy shooting for bronze medal. And I'll never forget, I watched Luke shoot, Martin Elworthy shoot, and Thierry shoot, and all 3 of them missed this teal up the left-hand side. And I thought, well, look, it's for a world championship. I've got one chance at this. I'm just going to throw the gun up the right-hand side of it and see what happens. And then I was going to shoot my second shot as it was dropping, because it went straight up and straight down.
Yeah.
Although it was 95 yards, but you were in you're on the high veld in Sun City, so you're at, I don't know, several thousand feet, and shot travels further.
Yeah.
So you've probably got an extra 10 or 15 yards with that. And anyway, the call for the target, and I threw the gun out the right-hand side of it and pulled the trigger. And I took the gun out of my shoulder to then reset to shoot it on the drop. And as I took it out of my shoulder, it broke.
Wow.
And it finished up winning me the World Championship. So in memory terms, that would be the hardest target I've ever shot.
I think that's a fair
and I shot in a place that I never expected to kill it, and you would never have shot.
No,
had you not seen the other 3 shoot.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we lost Luke last year, sadly, and but that's a great memory to have with him as well.
Yeah. Nice. Your favourite shooting ground in the world?
What have I got to say here?
No, I don't expect it. Just give it a nod.
My favourite shooting ground in the world, I think there's been a lot. There's been a lot of great shooting grounds all over the world that we've attended. If I'm going to look at so Kate and I grew up in an era and attended a lot of shoots in an era when the social side of it was key.
Yeah.
So there is only one place in the world now where the social side of it is key, and that's Valley Gun Club in South Africa. And you know, the whole thing is run as it is a gun club, but it's run as a family affair, and the women do the cooking, and the trappers do all the trapping, and it is just. I was made an honorary member of the club, and it's a huge honour for me to be made an honorary member, and it is probably one of the great still strongholds of South Africa. Is still, I love shooting there, and it's still one of the great strongholds of the UK 30 years ago.
Yeah.
When all the clubs, nothing was commercial.
No.
It was all clubs, and it went into club funds and everything else. And that's still very much like that over there today.
And a close second, George? Shouldn't take much thinking about.
A close second.
It's about 4.5 hours away.
Look,
I'm joking.
No. But I think that you've transformed the face of British shooting. And It's not a smoke blowing session. I think you've transformed the face of British shooting, and I think it will only serve to increase the way people look at British shooting. I think you've got a showpiece there now that you could take anybody to, from a politician to a member of the royal family to your daughter, and I think that's great for shooting. I think it's really good for shooting, and people have been. You hear people say, "Oh, they're never going to get their money back. They're never going to do this." What does it matter? You're there to enjoy the product that they're giving, whether they choose to get their money back or not. It's not any concern of theirs. One, and two. Why would you let something like that get in the way of your enjoyment when you go to a ground like that? When you see the investment, we've had none of it in shooting for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Churchill's have been at the forefront of it. I would honestly say that I think you've now taken it to another level. But let's see.
Cool. Yeah. Right. These now are quick fire questions. So one word answers. The most underrated shooter right now in your mind?
Underrated.
Can't say overrated. That would be quite rude. So underrated. He's thinking. I think he's got a few in his mind.
I just have to be very careful. of what I say.
It was a compliment. Either way.
For me, the most underrated it would sit very easily. Struan Brodie.
Struan Brodie.
Heard of him? There you go.
No.
Struan Brodie shot 200 straight in the Greek Compact World Cup event last year.
Wow.
You haven't heard of him?
No.
You're looking for an underrated shooter. There you go.
There you go. Point proven. The best piece of equipment you have in your range bag or whatever. Best piece of equipment you take to a shoot.
My gun and my cartridge combination. Perazzi and game ball.
One thing you wish you won but are yet to.
Sussex down the line championship.
B-class champions. Good answer. If you had to assemble a hand-picked squad to try and win a gold medal in the next 5 years, and this is men, so a team of 5, hand-picked squad, who would you pick?
For World English or World Fitness?
Whatever competition it might want to be. You choose. Whichever discipline. You've got to assemble a squad to go.
Do they have to be British?
No. Anyone in the world. Don't think about being careful. You can just apologise to those.
No. I would have Richard, for sure.
Yeah.
Charles Bardo.
Yeah.
Anthony Matrice. Is that 3?
3. You've got 2 more spaces, let's say.
Do I have to include myself?
No. You can't include yourself.
I can't include myself. I think you'd put... Probably on current form, you'd have to put Tamas Jerry in that. That's 4.
One more.
I'd probably I'll probably throw in Matthew Delmas.
Quick interruption here. The minute we finished recording, George was kicking himself because he didn't mention Brandon Powell in his top 5 when I asked him that question. So just so you know, Brandon, and everyone else around the world, he soon realised he'd missed out one of the greats and the current world champion himself. So Brandon Powell, you made the list. I don't know if he was kicking out, that's up to him, but I said I promised him I'd stick it in here just so everyone knows he didn't miss out, Brandon. Right. Should we do that again but you have to pick English shooters?
If I did it again, picking English shooters.
Yeah. Let's go again. Just English shooters.
Oh, Richard would be in it.
Yeah, you've still got Richard.
Nick Hendrick.
Yeah.
Richard, Nick Hendrick. James Atwood.
2 more.
With some of the scores that he's shooting at the moment, and the way he won the British, you probably have to include Phil Gray in it.
Yeah.
What are we? One more.
One more spot.
Martin Myers.
Yeah. He's on from. Yeah, he's just always at the top, isn't he, Martin?
and those people that I've spoken about,
Yeah.
don't peak. Rarely peak.
Yeah.
They are bang on, right in the mix of it every shoot.
I'm surprised you didn't pick Mark Windsor there, but like we say, we can't pick everybody.
You can't pick everybody, but I for me, the reason I wouldn't have picked him in that, not for the fact that he's in any way, shape or form not good enough, because of course he's good enough, but he's not doing as many shoots as the others are.
No.
He's not doing anywhere near the shoots that the others do. And if you're going to win a world championship, which is what you've asked me to put the squad together to do, you've got to be doing a lot of shooting.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, next quick fire question is, who do you think is going to achieve a lot in shooting in the next year? Which individual shooter?
I think probably Phil Gray would be Phil Gray. He's keen and hungry for it, and wants it. You know, James Atwood, very similar, and they shoot together, and one spurs the other on.
Yeah. Both had a hell of a year, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. But then doing it and repeating it is a very different thing, because once the expectations of success come, and you've got that expectation hanging over you, and you've got to go and do it every time, it's a very different beast to having never done it before and having to go and going and doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not up with the juniors as much as I should do, but certainly within the next decade, one to look out for is a guy that I've been helping along his merry way, who you spent a bit of time with at the British, Max Baxter.
Yes.
And, you know, he's just shot 100 straight at English skeet.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
At 13 years of age. He's very grounded. He's very grounded. He dresses and conducts himself
shirt and tie
like a proper gentleman.
He does.
And I've got a huge amount of time for him and his family.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, going forward, he will be one to watch.
Yeah.
Massively.
Your favourite type of game shooting?
I couldn't possibly tell you that. Any day out in the field, whatever you're doing, where the quarry is shown in its best environment,
they're all as good as each other.
Is good. Whether that's pigeons flying up a hedge pigeons flying up a hedge in the spring, and you're shooting them on a belt on a flight line. Teal coming into a pond, high pheasants, driven grouse. If I had to pick one day, it would be a day's driven grouse shooting.
Yeah.
I've been very, very lucky. I've had some amazing invites over the years. Jeremy Herman and people like that have been so kind, and a lot of others as well. And those days are absolutely special. But every day shown in its right environment. Nothing. I would rather not be on a day when you've gone out in a wind and the bloke who's organising the shoot doesn't even know how to move the pegs round two or three pegs because of the wind.
Yes.
And you've got 4 guns in the shooting and 4 standing there looking as though they haven't got a clue what's going on. And you think, I'd rather not be here, to be honest.
We've all seen it as well.
Yeah. And even those that are, when you're in the shooting, you think, I feel, because you're
terrible.
almost embarrassed for the others.
Yeah. It was a big thing for a good host is worth a lot. Yeah. And your favourite game shoot, if you had to pick one? Your favourite estate?
That'd be difficult. I think we had, in the halcyon days in the late 80s and right through the 90s, we had a syndicate at a very famous West Country shoot called Milton's. And we had several days there a year, and the personnel and the people that were there all became great friends, and it was shooting and social shooting like no one's ever experienced before. And I think because of that, Milton's always holds a very dear place in my heart.
Yeah, a good era to be around.
Yeah.
The final quickfire question. Your favourite brand of gun? There's a reason I'm asking.
Let's think about that.
Just say the word.
Well, it'd have to be Perazzi.
That's interesting, George, because right now on twill.com you can win one of your 25 of 25 MX2000 S's. It's a 32-inch one, George. There's only actually 22 of those ever made. So, those listening, if you want to win one of these, George, it was a gun that you collaborated with Gary, Sportsman Gun Centre, to...
Absolutely. And they've taken over the Perazzi distributorship.
Yep.
Doing an amazing job. I think it's a breath of fresh air for Perazzi guns. Obviously, Mauro is at the helm, as we know, and the CSG group have bought probably a majority shareholding, I think, in it. And I think it's very exciting times ahead for the company. I'm a massive believer in they are great sporting and hunting guns.
Yeah.
Although Mauro's been very focused on the Olympics and the trap and the skeet side of it, I think they are great handling guns, and I've achieved, a considerable amount of my success with it.
Yeah. No. And we're honoured really to have it. It's number 25 of 25. We've got it in a headed blank. It's got upgraded wood on it. So whoever...
Well, even I haven't got one, so...
You might have to buy a ticket, mate. I was going to say,
now,
George,
that would be a fix, wouldn't it?
You absolutely cannot buy a ticket with it. But it'll be... Dimensions will be sent to Italy and made to the winner. And then we're actually going to oil finish at Eaton Hall. Just to put a little stamp on it. £20 a ticket to win that gun, which is, for us, it's an amazing and an honour really to be able to offer it to someone to win, and that's live right now.
They are beautiful guns, and that's a lovely that blank there. You can tell how strong a blank it is because the grain is very narrow.
Yeah,
which is what you look for in a blank is the strength and that comes from narrow grain.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually picked it out when we were there in June. So, yeah. Very pleased with that. So that's available to win right now. George, that is coming to the end. Before we do go, like me, you're very keen game shot. We shoot a lot and in game and clay. And at this moment in time, the government that we sit upon and live amongst at the moment are trying to make a change and merge Section 1 firearms with Section 2 shotguns. I just want to say to everyone listening, there is currently a petition that you can sign. 100,000 signatures gets it discussed in Parliament. And so if you haven't signed it, please sign it. It's below the video. There's a link below this video. It literally takes a minute of your time to go and sign it. So if you haven't done, please do. But yeah, I don't want to get too political, George, but God, it's just relentless, isn't it?
Death by 1,000 cuts, I think. The legislation with regards to shooting and that sort of thing is, I haven't seen many people apply for a shotgun certificate to go and rob a bank.
No.
And unfortunately, the law-abiding citizens get clobbered yet again. This isn't just affecting the people that go game shooting. This is affecting everybody who's involved in field sports, from someone that earns absolutely nothing and goes out once or twice a year because that's all they can afford to do and that's what they want to do, to someone that shoots 35, 40, 50, 60 days a year.
Yeah.
It affects everybody. It'll affect the industry. It'll affect you guys.
Yeah.
It'll affect everything that we do and our freedom. And as I said earlier on, we're an industry that prides itself on almost zero accidents and that sort of thing. It brings in a massive, massive economy boost through international competitions and international game shooting.
Yeah.
And I think they need to seriously consider what's going on before they make any rash decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it's billions and billions of pounds what brings in. We were in Wales this week and we just got...
Did it rain?
Yeah, it did rain a lot. And we got a couple of stats off the lads there that run it. And there's 40 people on this game day that go in chefs. You've got beaters, pickers, uppers, you name it. And this particular ground was run by an agency, as it were, that have 6 different estates that are shooting 4, 5, 6, in some cases, days a week. You multiply that number of 40 people 6 days a week in a rural economy, and I mean it's rural out there, it's the arse end of nowhere, for the want of a better word. And you've got all the lads staying in the pubs, and it cannot be denied of just how many people are involved and get a positive effect of... And that is just game shooting, by the way.
No question. Absolutely
you've
no
been
question.
up to the most remotest places in Scotland chasing grouse or whatever.
Yeah.
Water Priory the other week. It's unbelievable how many people come out of that wood. Beaters and pickers.
Oh, no question.
And again, that is just game shooting.
And you're targeting. Forget the money that those 8 people are bringing in. You're targeting with this legislation those people that come out of the wood.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
And it just, although it's bringing in billions and billions and billions, but you're actually looking at affecting how people live their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the worst thing.
George, it's been an absolute honour to have you on. I think it's been a fantastic discussion. I think we might have to consider putting it into a part 1 and 2. But I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time.
I've enjoyed it. I hope I gave you the answers that you were expecting or not expecting. I've always spoken from the heart and, done what I've done. And, tonight is no different.
No, I appreciate it. And I think that's why a lot of people have so much respect for you, me included. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
Thanks everybody for listening. Please like and subscribe. New episodes coming very shortly. See you in the next one.